the truth is, a majority of people, if they're committed to a path of their personal growth, they want that energy, they want that experience, they want to be in that beautiful, fertile state of growth, of new beginnings, of potential, of power. It is a raw power that brings us to life, that helps us to grow. But what is less appealing sometimes is walking into the depths, walking into the shadow, seeing it, loving it, accepting it, being witness to the patterns that are coming up. Hi my beautiful friends, welcome. Anna, Alchemist of the Arts, here in my workshop today to do a full moon reading for the full moon eclipse happening on the 25th of March 2024. So I wanted to incorporate this into my week ahead energy update, and to be honest, I'm just going to get straight into it. I've got some rune oracle cards that I'm going to do at the end as well. So I think we're going to have a lot of truth coming to the surface over the course of this next week, triggered by this eclipse. And for many, if you were sensitive, or even if you were not maybe aware of a reason that's causing it, but you've just noticed there has been more disruption or a lot more change in your life, this eclipse could be part of the reason why. I think we have been feeling the energies building up to this eclipse, and actually the beginning of this eclipse season. And it is definitely triggering changes within our lives, changes that we have decided to trigger for ourselves, changes that we have felt like it's time to create, but also being aware of the changes happening around us within the wider scope of the world, but within our closer friendship groups, within our family groups, within our networks, within our social networks. There's just a lot shifting. Now, some of this can be a little bit destabilizing. I think that's the best way to put it. You could have felt like the rug had been pulled under your feet in some ways, maybe in particular situations, but in other ways, you can just feel maybe, like I said, destabilized slightly, just a little bit off balance, a little bit off kilter, and we're finding that equilibrium again. I don't want you to feel like these energies are happening to you and there is nothing that you can do about that. That is certainly not the way or reason that I share these. We have to work with these energies, with these life transitions. It is a collective level experience, and I think from my experience, being able to share and sometimes just being able to hear that other people are having similar experiences can be incredibly comforting. And then you find your own natural rhythm of working through those changes, working through those cycles, beginning to recognize sometimes when you're being nudged by the universe cosmically. Maybe somebody's pushing you in a certain direction, maybe that's an etheric push, sometimes it is a cosmic kick up the arse, and we are most definitely pushed in a particular direction. And more often than not, there may have been subtler changes, subtler nudges, suggestions that perhaps it's time to move or do certain things or stop doing certain things. And occasionally that's part of our learning process, that we have to listen at those beginning stages, and if we don't, then things amplify. Again, there's no wrong in that. I still do this now, and this can work to our benefit as well. So I'll give you an example. Just literally an hour ago, it's springtime in the UK now. The sun has been out all day today, and it means it's grass cutting day. You know, it's the first day of the spring. Most people are cutting their grass. Now I was like, okay, I do need to do mine. It's Sunday, I have a lot of other jobs to do. I'm a single mum of 3, and I was like, okay, so I've got my ironing to do, I've got dinner to cook, I've got house to clean, I've got 3 children to get ready for school and everything else for the next week. I need to do the grass as well, but I really felt called to film this video. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna come outside, I will film in my work shed. And of course there's somebody cutting the grass, and every time I started speaking, the noise would start. Every time it stopped, I would try talking, and then it would start again. And I was like, do you know what, I think I should just go cut my grass first, even though that wasn't what I wanted to do. My ego fought against it, and I was like, but I've got the inspiration, I want to film this video now. I had to take a moment, I had to get myself in check. I was like, fine, I'll go cut the grass, and guess what, all the grass cutting is now stopped. So the reason for me sharing that is because there really is sometimes a perfect time to do things, and the universe was telling me, like, stop fighting against this one, just stop fighting against it, just go do that thing that you need to do, that thing that you've been putting off. Go do that thing and then come back and it will be fine. And that is what I did, and therefore it is fine. So that is just a silly example, but my life, for me personally, I recognize when I am in resistance of myself, and sometimes there is a flow of things happening in our lives, a flow of us doing things in our lives that feels like it's being disrupted by outer circumstances. And actually, one of the really powerful things that we can do is reframe those outer experiences, and just perhaps things are working out in our favor. You know, it's that age-old sort of conundrum. You're in the right place, in the right time. Maybe if you hadn't have had that 2-minute delay or 5-minute delay in traffic, perhaps you would have been in a worse situation about something else. You know, sometimes you're being spared from something. Right place, right time, perfect timing. You will not miss the calling. You will not miss the thing that you are destined to do. You will not miss the things that we are supposed to do. But our ego most definitely gets in the way. And I think, you know, with all of this energy being in Libra, we've just come out of Pisces season into Aries. We are now having this full moon eclipse in Libra. There is a lot of energy of thinking, of decision making, or difficulty decision making, like me just today, about filming this video, and ego wanting me to go a certain way. There are other ways in our lives, most definitely. That is just a very literal example. There are many other ways in our life right now where we could potentially be fighting against the flow of things. And it's not to say that we have to stop applying energy or pushing when we want to get things done. But if, like in that moment where every time it's like something steps in the way, sometimes you have to take a step back. One of the big things I found really, really helpful over the course of the last week, working through and processing a lot of what has been coming up for me, is going back and asking myself, like, what is it I actually want? What I want for? What purpose? So say you're looking at things you might be wanting to manifest, things you want to achieve, goals that you've been setting yourself. Why do I need to achieve this? What does that goal, what does the achievement of that actually mean to me? And actually digging through, working through where there is any kind of ego attachment, ego trap to that thing. Because the motivation for doing it could be brilliant, but there could be an element or aspect to the outcome that is not of our highest purpose. Say there is an achievement, but say you want to achieve this thing to prove somebody wrong, for example. Carrying that energy is not necessarily the best reason for doing it. Instead, maybe looking at this thing and saying, well, when I achieve it, I know that I'm going to be able to have helped these people, this group of people. I will be in service to this group of people. And actually, that is the highest call. That's the highest motivation and outcome for me achieving this thing. Go in that direction. Remember why you're doing things. Remember why you're applying energy in a specific way, and equally why just the intention behind the things that we're doing. Because there can be multiple layers of motivation, but the one that's fueling us most intensely sometimes isn't the highest one. And I think going back, I think we're going to see a lot of truth coming to the surface, coming to light around this eclipse season, about where we've perhaps fallen into some of those traps with ourselves. Another reason this feels really, really important is because we are uncovering deeper layers of our truest self and digging through some of the BS. A lot of the BS that we've been holding. Now, these can be really outdated opinions, negative thought patterns, perceptions of self, limitations, things that have been keeping us at a level that we are now ready to break through. And this feels very, very fitting with the energy of spring and all the rebirth and the growth. And the truth is, a majority of people, if they're committed to a path of their personal growth, they want that energy, they want that experience, they want to be in that beautiful fertile state of growth, of new beginnings, of potential, of power. It is a raw power that brings us to life, that helps us to grow. But what is less appealing sometimes is walking into the depths, walking into the shadow, seeing it, loving it, accepting it, being witness to the patterns that are coming up. And I really feel, because eclipses illuminate, I really feel like this is one of the things that's coming to the surface right now. It is bringing with it this light of truth to look at some of the patterns that we have been repeating in these different areas of our life. I know for me, I've had things coming up this week, and it's been fascinating to look at it. Things that I have maybe been working through for the last 5 to 6 months, and all of a sudden it's like something clicks and you see it. And with that, for me personally, maybe you've been having a similar experience, there has been a lot of recall of going back to particular moments in time, memories in the far past for me, but all from a particular age range in my life. And I'm very aware that, you know, I've done a lot of inner child work and personal work on myself. The work is never done. And this particular age range is not something that I'd focused on before. But at this moment in my life right now, in my own journey, in my own experience, it's come to the surface. And all of a sudden there is this recall of particular memories and experiences. And a lot of them come with this jaw-dropping kind of, oh, I see it now. I see the pattern. I see why I did that. I see how I went into that situation. I see why I was repeating these things. I can see and feel the pain that I was trying to suppress, and all of a sudden it all makes sense. And for me, I have, you know, it's come for me at this time because I'm ready to feel and experience it, that I can have the space. So whatever we are ready for as individuals will come to light right now. And I would take note of the conversations that perhaps bring up memories or bring back a recall of a particular event, and there could well be a nugget of absolute wisdom in there, of clarity, of awareness that makes a penny drop for you. And this is the beauty of these energies. Yes, they can be challenging. Yes, they can dredge stuff up from the past. They can dredge people up from the past. It can bring to the surface and bring to light some really uncomfortable things. But our ability to sit in that discomfort, to look at ourselves in those uncomfortable situations, or to be able to feel those experiences, that's where we take that challenge, that awareness that we've had about a challenge, about a situation, and we actually have the power to heal it, to transform it, to alchemize it. Our ability to work through these challenges, they come in waves, and something will come up, something will come to our attention, and in that moment we will be able to focus on that, we will be able to work through that, and then we find that release. We have the ability to release it once we have seen it, felt it, experienced it in a way that our adult self can understand and process. Even if it's another part of our adult life, it's the present version of self has so many more tools than perhaps we did as an older version of ourself, and that's the beauty and the wisdom of experience. So work with your experience, work with what's coming up. This week in particular, I feel like so much is going to be coming up, and you might feel like time is moving really, really fast. I can't personally believe we're in April at the end of this week. I can't believe that we are going to be going into April. That just blows my mind. It's been going so quickly. But also, each individual day, that just feels like about 3 days rolled into one. You know, it's like, how's your week been? You've just got through a day. But you know, this is our relationship with our own experience, and you might be feeling it very, very differently, and that is also absolutely okay. But as we have it, I'm going to try and not be too long with all of these videos from now on, because I know I can really talk. But I've got my Viking Oracle deck, which has got rune cards and then other themed cards from Nordic mythology. I'm going to get some of these, and I'm going to go with these today. Let's see what comes through. Okay, I love this. We have Fenrir, and this is being able to look at the things that are binding us, and also our relationship with our duty and our fate, I feel. Fenrir to me, and Fenrir, if you're not aware, was an absolutely enormous wolf. He was one of Loki's offspring. He was one of Loki's children. And he ended up being bound by the gods because of the risk he posed to humanity and because of his role in Ragnarok, which it was the end times in Nordic mythology. So Fenrir was bound by Tyr, and that involved Tyr putting his hand into the mouth of the wolf, into Fenrir's mouth, and he was bound with magical chains because no other chains can hold him. So there is relationship here to the things that we feel bound by, the things that we might feel duty bound by, the things that we feel are holding us back, and indeed how we can break free from them, but our relationship to the things that we felt bound by. There is this potential here to release some really big things this week, and to find perhaps new levels of energy, a greater bandwidth for our own experience as we release some of this density. And it can just be the way we relate to something from our past that makes us think that we are a certain thing. Perhaps a particular experience really damaged your self-worth, or a person made you feel less worthy. And this week can be a week where something like that comes to the surface, and perhaps you really realize for the first time that experience wasn't your fault, and actually you didn't deserve to have that experience. But what it's done is it's taught you to value yourself, and within that experience you begin to recognize that it should never have damaged your self-worth. That person's treatment of you did not define you, and whatever definition we've been holding from it, with the pain associated with it, that can be released now. And then you get to free yourself from that experience, breaking those chains. That was just one example. It was just a way I was trying to express that energy that was coming through. We've had Algiz. So it's Elhaz on this card, but it's the rune Algiz, and this connects to the elk, to our ancestors, to the receiving of divine wisdom, to connecting to a higher sense of ourselves, a higher sense of our being, perhaps a higher sense of purpose, perhaps an ancestral calling. I would say take a moment and try to reconnect with what makes you feel most spiritually connected. I used the word connect there twice, but what makes you feel spiritually connected? Is it a walk in nature? Maybe it's to be in or around wild water. Maybe it is just standing. I've been really connecting with the air element recently, most of all, and just standing and having a really strong breeze just makes me feel alive. And it's not something that I've connected with in that way before. It's finding those almost divine experiences in everyday life, for want of a better word. Maybe it is being in the sunshine and feeling that and soaking it and feeling absolutely alive. Whatever it is, tune in and connect to that. And I'm going to get one more. This one wants to come out, whatever it is. Yet again. And of course this connects to our growth. This connects to the seeds we are nurturing. This is a nurturing energy, a gestational energy, whereas Ingvaz is the fertile energy, is the seed, a more masculine energy in that respect, connecting to the god Frey. This would be the nurturing. This is the more feminine counterpart to that energy. It is sacred to the birch tree. And really they're like the sisters, they're the lady of the woods. So this is asking us to look at our own relationship with the feminine energy in our lives, whether that's within us, and regardless of gender or gender identification, we all have feminine energy within us. And that feminine energy is receptive, it is the intuitive. And even within Nordic spirituality or spiritual magical practices, there were differentiations between what was considered women's magic and what was considered more masculine magic. So we have these kind of delineations between certain types of practice or magical experience, and it's not to say that one is only done by women or one is only done by men. Traditionally it might have been so, but what I'm getting with this card in the context of this reading is really tuning into the feminine energy, which is receptive, is intuitive. It allows as receiver things to come through. So perhaps this is a week where it's time for stillness, connecting to our gears and being in the presence of your own experience and asking yourself what it is that you're growing. In this moment, what are you growing? What are you nurturing? What seeds have you already planted? How are you nurturing them? Perhaps there is a time for, or a need for, a deeper sense of nourishment. And that can be nourishment at all levels, to nurture yourself. So what is it that we are nurturing ourselves with food? What about spiritually? What about intellectually and mentally? You know, what are we consuming on an intellectual level? What makes you feel, you know, what thoughts are you feeding yourself? There is just all different layers to this one that feel very, very important for the ways in which we nurture and care for ourselves. I'm going to get one more as well. I don't know, I know I normally do 3, but I feel very called. Maybe specifically for the eclipse on Monday. Loki. Okay, so many people would have a particular opinion of Loki, which has been certainly propagated and fed by a certain film franchise. Now that isn't necessarily the case. In a great many ways, Loki has a vitally important and necessary role in his workings and his tricks and things he played on the gods. Now, life would have been somewhat easier for all involved had Loki not have played those tricks, but within, from my own personal experience, an understanding of kind of Lokian energy, there is an element of chaos, a necessary element of chaos that is a counterpart energy to creation, that is necessary. There is every energy has its, I want to say, counterpart energy that isn't necessarily entirely opposed, but we can only know one because of our experience of other. It is the experience of contrast that makes us understand both of the all that is vitally balanced upon 2 extremes. I would say take a look at what is not working in your life around this eclipse. Maybe there are challenges, maybe there are things that aren't working right now, and within those there is something that needs to change. Maybe it does feel a bit like a trickster energy, maybe there is somebody a bit like that in your life, but I would say probably on a more collective level. This is looking at the things that perhaps aren't working, that have served their purpose. Maybe something keeps going wrong and it needs our attention. Sometimes it's not because it needs to be gotten rid of out of our lives, but it needs us to look at it. It literally is shining a light. The things that aren't working are literally shining a light on it, because maybe it was your health, maybe it's a car that's malfunctioning, maybe it's us in some ways, you know, and it's asking us to look at it. It's asking for our attention. You know, a bit like an unruly toddler. It wants our attention. So look at what is seeking your attention, because that is where we can have a really powerful impact of change. So I'm going to leave that there for you. I hope you have a truly amazing week. I will be back in a few days, hopefully, with another video. But I just wanted to send you all my love. Thank you for being here. If you've made it to the end, I love you so much. I appreciate you. And I will see you again really, really soon. Take care. Bye.